Thank you for tuning in to another episode here on ProPix TV. I am James Kuzno, coming to you live from the studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. December, especially over the last week, has proven to be a very catastrophic record for the airline industry and aviation. There have been 7 major events that have cost hundreds of lives throughout the aviation industry worldwide. We're going to take a quick look at some of the incidents that have happened, the crashes and the near misses over the last several weeks in different countries around the globe. Let's take a look here and figure out exactly what's going on in terms of the numbers and the locations of these recent incidents. Of course, we will get to the most recent one, which was Azerbaijan Airlines that was flight 8243, and that crashed in Kazakhstan. Let's go on to the story here. Is that an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 en route from Baku to Grozny, which is Chechia's capital, was shot down near Kazakhstan, killing 38 of the 67 passengers and crews on board. Later on Thursday, Azerbaijani officials confirmed the plane was hit by a Russian surface-to-air missile, with President Aliyev saying it was damaged by ground fire and electronic warfare over Russian territory, and demanded an apology from Moscow, as well as compensation for the victims. This, of course, could be tied into the war with Ukraine and Russia being overzealous in launching ground-to-air defense systems. The facts are that Azerbaijani civil plane was damaged from the outside on Russian territory near Grozny and nearly lost control. We also know that the plane has been rendered uncontrollable due to radio-electronic warfare, he stated, and that was one of the representatives from the Azerbaijani officials. Now, due to the numerous holes in the plane's fuselage, Aliyev completely ruled out the possibility of the plane colliding with a flock of birds. The crash occurred amid Russian air defense activity against Ukraine drones, as Putin has acknowledged, and GPS jamming was detected in the region. Regarding what Azerbaijan expects from Russia, Aliyev says that Baku has informed Moscow that they first require a formal apology. Secondly, it must acknowledge its guilt, and thirdly, those responsible must be punished and brought to criminal responsibility, and compensation must be paid to the Azerbaijani state as well as the injured passengers and crew members. Those are their conditions. Putin earlier on Saturday extended his condolences to the Azerbaijan's president and apologized, mentioning how Russian air defense systems were actively responding to a Ukraine drone attack when the plane tried to land in Grozny before the crash. But Russia denied deliberate intent, suggesting an onboard explosion, a theory Aliyev dismissed as a cover-up. Authorities of all interested countries have urged people to wait for official findings before drawing conclusions. Investigations are ongoing with the black boxes under examination. Now we can also look at December the 29th with the Jeju Air Flight 2216 crash landing in South Korea. This story here, a Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 crashed at Muan Airport after its front landing gear failed, killing 179 of the 181 passengers and crew members on board in South Korea's deadliest aviation disaster since 1997. Investigators are focusing on possible bird strikes near the airport. It's located in a migratory bird habitat as a contributing factor. A 7-day national mourning has been declared with New Year events canceled. A U.S. FAA team and Boeing officials are assisting in the probe, which may require sending the damaged flight data recorder to the United States for analysis. Previous warning about bird strike risks at the airport had called for preventative measures, now a renewed scrutiny. On the same day, December the 29th, Air Canada Express Flight 2259 skid down the runway with flames in Canada. Now, that was a de Havilland Dash 8-400, made an emergency landing at the Halifax Stanfield International Airport after a landing gear malfunction. The plane skidded down the runway with flames and sparks visible from one wing. Remarkably, all 77 passengers and crew were rescued and they were unharmed. Passenger accounts described the plane tilting and skidding during the landing. Emergency crews responded swiftly and flights at the airport were briefly suspended. Investigations are ongoing to determine the cause of the mechanical failure. Also on December the 29th, KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines Flight 1204, made an emergency landing in Norway. KLM Flight 1204 is a Boeing 737-800 en route from Oslo to Amsterdam. Experienced a hydraulic system failure shortly after takeoff. The pilots diverted to Sandefjord Torp Airport in Norway, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, and my apologies. But that's where the plane skidded off the runway into a grassy area during an emergency landing. All 176 passengers and crew members were unharmed. Investigators are focusing on reported hydraulic failure as the cause of the incident. Also on December the 29th, the United Arab Emirates plane crash off Ras Al Khaimah coast. A light aircraft crashed off the coast of the UAE and killing the pilot and co-pilot. The General Civil Aviation Authority has launched an investigation into the cause of that crash. The next day, of course, the Emirates flight bound for Incheon, South Korea, was diverted due to a historic snowstorm that disrupted regional air traffic, landing safely at an alternate airport. On December the 29th as well, in Germany, a plane crashed at the Stuttgart airport. A Cessna C-172 crashed near the Stuttgart airport runway on Sunday afternoon, injuring 2 people and disrupting air traffic. A pilot sustained minor injuries while a passenger was hospitalized with serious injuries. Poor visibility due to darkness and fog may have contributed to the crash. Flights were suspended for 90 minutes during the emergency response efforts. Authorities are conducting an investigation with assistance from the Federal Bureau of Aircraft Accident Investigation. On December the 30th, which we touched on at the top of the story, was the Jeju Flight 7C-101, which is a Boeing 737-800 carrying 161, I believe that's mistype. I believe it was actually 181 passengers, and that experienced a landing gear issue shortly after takeoff from Gimpo International Airport in Seoul, Korea. The pilot decided to return to Gimpo, where the plane landed safely. There were no injuries reported, and it was actually corrected. It was 161 passengers, and they were all unharmed. The cause of the landing gear issue in Flight 7C-101 is currently under investigation. These incidents have prompted global aviation authorities to initiate comprehensive investigations to identify underlying causes, whether mechanical failures, human error, or external factors like weather and geopolitical tensions. The findings are expected to lead to enhanced safety measures aimed to prevent future occurrences. But at this time, of course, that is of little comfort to all of the victims, their families, and the crew of the airlines. We must also take into account that this Christmas is expected to be, over the holidays, very busy in the international travel world. And with that comes an enhanced level of risk. They are looking to bring in aircraft with record numbers of travelers in some regions quicker and trying to turn them around faster to get them back out again. Now, whether or not this has played into the different risks and the different incidents that have happened, we don't know. We'll have to wait for the investigations to continue. Once the investigations are done and further information is available, we'll definitely bring you updates to all of these stories and others from around the globe. Once again, you're watching James Cousineau at the ProPix TV studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. If you have comments or would like to suggest different story ideas, we invite you to do so. Send your emails to ProPixCanada, that's PROPICS Canada @gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We love your feedback. And of course, we seriously take different story suggestions that you may have. Other stories coming up, of course, we'll be looking at geopolitical issues between India's interference and their ongoing transnational repression. We'll take a look at updates from the Russia-Ukraine war, and we will take a look at how the world is about to celebrate the incoming year of 2025. We'll also look and explore at what opportunities and what setbacks the world may see with a new United States administration about to take place with that transition late in January. Of course, Donald Trump has already been rattling cages around the world, whether it is in relation to the Panama Canal, Canada becoming a 51st state, or the purchasing of Greenland. Regardless as to where it goes, it seems that he has no boundaries in shaking up the global geopolitical climate. This also goes further when he is threatening to have a soft invasion of Mexico. Now, although he is looking at targeting the drug cartels and really clamping down on the southern border, it is very, very important to keep in mind that no matter what his intentions, any type of breach of the sovereignty of Mexico could bring international ramifications and definitely can build a rift in the trade between Canada, Mexico, and the United States in an agreement that Donald Trump had negotiated in his last term. Even though he had negotiated those terms and that agreement, he is going back on that and seems steadfast in trying to renegotiate it once again. Of course, it was at one time called the North American Free Trade Agreement, then it was called the US-Canada-Mexico Agreement, and who knows what he's going to call it next, but we will definitely be watching very closely as the Trump administration gets closer to taking their role in leading the nation south of this border. Once again, you're watching James Cousineau at ProPix TV. Thank you for joining us. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and have a wonderful New Year's.